And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I am your host, Noah Love, and today we are going to be talking about NFL Week 8. Yes, NFL Week 8, NFL Week 7 has concluded. Not Week 8, got it mixed up, sorry there, but NFL Week 7 has concluded, and we are going to talk about everything big time. Chiefs shut out the Raiders. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Bears and the Patriots, the two hottest teams in the league. Can the Bears make the playoffs? What does this mean for New England in terms of their playoff race? We'll talk about that. Carolina being over 500 for the first time since 2021. We'll talk about that. The afternoon window, the chaos that happened there, we'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about the two Monday night games that we watch. By the way, a Monday night doubleheader can never just don't. 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 Okay. Let's get straight into it. Let's start in London, where the Rams pummel the Jags. Rams beat the Jags 35-7 here. Not much to say about this football game, if I'm being honest. The Rams just came out and dominated. I thought the Jags offensively, they just did not. I picked the Jags to win this game, and it just didn't happen. They got dominated. That's what happened. They got dominated up front. And look, for Jacksonville, we're now in that part of the season where every win and loss is getting to a point where it's magnified. Jacksonville right now is the 7th seed. They obviously have a bye this week. Then they come out the bye and play the Raiders. Then after that, they play Houston in a divisional game. Their schedule is pretty manageable the rest of the way, which could mean a playoff berth, but we'll see on that. Yeah, this was just. I'll chalk this up to a bad game. Look, they lost to Seattle, and then you go and I just think this is a bad game. I thought the Rams put them in third and longs all the time. I thought Stafford was terrific. 5 passing touchdowns. To me, the story of the game, look, Stafford, great. The defense. This is the best the defense has looked all year. And the defense, I think, they've had some good and bad games. They had the game against Houston, but now looking back at that, it's like they did what they were supposed to do, kind of, but you still want to give them credit. They had the game. They shut down the Eagles for essentially a half, and then after that, it was bad. You had the Colts game where they played well. Look, they've given up 10 points in their last 2 games against a battered Ravens offense, okay, but you play a Jacksonville offense that just a couple weeks ago put up, like, what was it, 30 on the Chiefs? So that's not. Look, the Rams, they have their bye this week, coming back from London, but they're 5-2. They are 5-2 football team. They're feeling good in terms of the NFC playoff race. They're at Once they come back from the bye, they play the Saints. Then they really get into the meat. They really get into the meat of it. At San Fran, Seattle at home, Tampa at home on Sunday night, and at Carolina. And people will say, at Carolina. At Carolina, like, why is that? Why is that gonna be? How is that the mean of the schedule? Well, Carolina Panthers are a 4-3 football team. We'll get to them though in a second. Let's just kind of wrap a bow on it, put a bow on this football game. The Rams dominant, great defensive game. To me, they're a Super Bowl contender. There's about 6 or 7 of them in the NFC. So Rams look good. Jacksonville, they need to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. Now, I just talked about the Panthers. Let's just segue there. Panthers beat the Jets 13-6. Ugly football game. Look, I predicted the Panthers to win this football game because I really thought that look, Jets are just that bad. But I thought, look, on the road, you struggle. It's going to be an ugly win, but you'll figure it out. They get the win. Their defense played very well. J.C. Horn's one of the best young corners in football. To me, the big time story now coming out this game is Bryce Young. He'll most likely miss a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain. I mean, maybe they'll shoot him up and maybe he's able to play this week. I don't know. But all things considered, Andy Dalton is going to go this week against the Bills. And Panthers can't catch a break, man. You've won 3 in a row. You've won 3 of your last 4. Your only loss coming to a very good New England team, as we're seeing. Carolina fans really, they're loving life right now. You're over 500. You are feeling very good about your chances in terms of maybe, I don't want to say playoffs. I don't want to say that, but you're just feeling really good about your team and the way your culture is shifting. You're not really a joke of a franchise anymore. When you play the Panthers, you're going to be in for a battle. That's what it feels like. Obviously, I think they still have holes, but they're a decent football team. And Bryce gets a high ankle sprain. Look, I thought this was a real turning point for this team. Old Panthers would have lost this game. New Panthers with a win. Dave Canales, what he's been able to do in essentially a year and a half, from where they were, from 2-15, and now he's going to turn this football team around. They're probably going to win eight or nine games, depending. Which, if they are able, even if they miss the playoffs, if you finish at 9-8, you're going to feel really good about your football team. You feel really good about your football team. You do. And I think they are a team with Bryce. If Bryce is healthy, that they can go and get somebody late in the season. And now those games against Tampa, I mean, because of Tampa losing to Detroit, which we will get to later in this pod, and we'll talk about that game and how that game went. They're now a game back, and they still play them twice, and they played Tampa tough last season. So you never know with that, but overall, I think it's a good win. Let's get to the Jets real quick. This team is a joke. This team's a joke. You can't tell me with the talent on this team, you should be 0-7. You should at least win one game. And the defense the last 2 weeks have played exceptionally well. If you can't surmount 13 points, you don't deserve to win. You just don't deserve to win. If you cannot surmount 13 points, you don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to win. Justin Fields got benched. They bring in Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod throws 2 interceptions. Both were sacked 3 times. It's bad. It's bad, bro. It's bad offensively. Woody Johnson came out yesterday basically scapegoating Fields the regime you picked. You picked Aaron Glenn. You picked this new GM. You fired Joe Douglas. Which, okay, rightfully so. You want to start fresh. I'm not mad at you for that. But you fired these guys, and then you bring in this new regime, and you're like, well, with the quarterback we have, this new regime, you're telling Jets fans to put their faith in, pick the quarterback. Both of them. So what are you talking about? So basically, you're trying to make him the scapegoat, but in reality, it still makes you look bad because you signed off on the regime picking these two quarterbacks. Am I taking crazy pills, or am I just making too much sense? It's gotta be I'm making too much sense because there is no way you can sit up here as the owner, haven't had a winning season in a decade. 2015 was the last time you went 10-6 with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You haven't been to the playoffs. Buck all that. You haven't been to the playoffs. in what 15 years. It's a title game with Rex Ryan, and you haven't won since Namath. And look, we can get into the Namath because he's overrated, but we can get into that another time. That you haven't Jets. If it wasn't for a certain team in the NFC, cough cough Arizona, you'd be the worst franchise in probably sports history. And honestly, you're the worst North American franchise at the moment. At the moment. Like it's bad. Look, we it's bad. Look, we will see if the Jets can get a win this season. They have like a couple more chances. They play Browns is winnable. Browns is winnable. They play Miami at home in December, and then they play at the Saints. And those are your last three chances. They're not beating anybody else on that schedule. So yeah, they're just a horrendous football team, and that's kind of what it is. But Panthers, very good win, very good win. Won't spend too much time on this game on this game in terms of the Browns. They beat the Dolphins 31-6. The defense has been really again the Browns for the story. The Browns will be a better football team if they had an actual offense. Look, Judkins is fine. He's good, fine, but they don't have any big time receiving threats. Gabriel is at he's at. In terms of Miami, you know what I've said. I've said blow. I've said this blow it up. There is no reason for you at the deadline to not be sellers. You're going back to the rebuild. You need to go and get picks. Go and get picks. If Devon Achane wants out, which he probably won't, but if he does, trade him. Look, I thought Tyreek Hill would be gone at the deadline, but because he got injured, he's gonna have to stay. But he's probably played his last uh, snap as maybe in the NFL if he retires because of the gruesome injury, or just as a Dolphin. If Jordan Brooks wants to be traded, that the go ahead, do that. Bradley Chubb, if Jalen Phillips, any of these guys that I'm mentioning, if they want to go, there's no reason why you should not trade them. If teams call and ask about these guys, there's no reason why you should not trade them. Stephen Ross has been put in a Stephen Ross in the company. It's a bad position. Look, for Miami, you have to think about this realistically as well. Like if you're asking me who I think a majority of the problem is, I think it goes Greer to a McDaniel. I really don't think McDaniel, in terms of an offensive mind, is a bad offensive coach. I just think Tua as a quarterback, it's done. Maybe he could go somewhere else and ball out, but this fit, it's done. That's truly what I feel like. That's truly what it feels like to me. It's done and it's over for for them. Look, Tua may stay, but that's because of the contract and the money they're paying him. But after that, you just got to blow this whole thing up and start over. Greer should have been gone. You just got clean house with your Stephen Ross. Greer, Tua, McDaniel, all gone. Let's start. We're gonna have a top 5 pick. Let's get a new regime in here and let's start from scratch. But yeah, Browns win. Good performance by the Browns. Was scored 31 points. It's just a good win for them. They were able to force some turnovers. Really, Tua just it wasn't a good outing. The Browns took care of them fairly easily. They won the turnover battle 4-0. Browns win. Uh, let's get into Chicago. The Chicago Bears are have won 4 games in a row. Dennis Allen's defense dominates. Look, outside of those two touchdown drives, the Saints didn't do anything. The Bears were able to dominate a football game where their quarterback didn't play well, but they were able to win it because they were able to run the football and their defense just dominated. That's what happened. Their defense forced turnovers. They got sacks. Jaquan Brisker was all over the field, whether it was in coverage or whether it was in run stopping or him blitzing. He was all over the field. With all that being said, Bears, hottest team in the league right now. One of the hottest teams. It's them in New England right now. 4 in a row. The Bears, it looks like they're finding something. The last couple of weeks, they've been able to run the football. Swift's been able to find the end zone. They've been able to find some yardage on the ground. Defensively, I know it's just the Saints, but they did look really good. Like, I put it in my notes. I said the poor first half cost the Saints, and the Bears defense rattled Rattler. They got it again. It was a rainy day, but they got after him early, which is crucial. They obviously forced turnovers. 4 turnovers. When a team has 4 turnovers, they're not going to win the game. I like what the Bears have done. The Bears, ever since that bad loss to Detroit, has played very well. Look, they dismantled Dallas. They got that close. They got back to back close 1 point wins at Raiders, at Commanders, beat the Saints. Look, they play at Baltimore this week. That's a winnable game. Now Lamar will be back then, so we'll see what happens there. The spread when I first checked was like -6.5. Look, Ben Johnson will have his guys ready to go and ready to play, and we will see. Caleb's got to play better, obviously. In the Washington game, I thought he did a great job protecting the football. His performance didn't cost him then, but if he has another performance like that against Baltimore, it will indeed cost him. Okay, now let's go to Tennessee, where it was or the Music City, where it was just an embarrassing day to be a Titans fan. Pats win 31-13. They are undefeated. They are undefeated on the road this season. Shout out to Vrabel. Drake May continues to play like a top 7-8 quarterback, bordering on top 5. He's been tremendous. He only had 2 incompletions, due for 222, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he played really, really well in this football game, and he's just continuing to do it. Look, the Pats ran the ball pretty well. They ran for about 5 yards a carry, 175 yards. Keyshawn Boutte got into the end zone. This is the Titans started off with a 10-3 lead. They then were outscored 28-3 the rest of the way. Yes, 28-3. Losing to Vrabel, that's bad. Then you have fans chanting like Vrabel, 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 and like we miss you, Vrabel. Again, Titans fans did not want a couple times they did not want him fired, but he got fired because he didn't want to trade away AJ Brown, which everybody in Tennessee knew that was stupid. That should have never happened. Then you let go of Henry. It's just like, what are we doing here? And so, yeah, it's just like, what are we doing here? So they couldn't run the ball. or they didn't really attempt to. Look, Cam Ward looked good early, then it kind of faltered late. They kind of went back to normal. He was sacked 5 times again. He had one pick. I'm seeing Titans fans talk about they should drop the QB. That relax. Ward's gonna figure it out. It's fine. You need to get a better roster around him, and you need to get a coach, a good offensive mind to pair with him, so that he can succeed. Because again, it's not gonna look like Jaden Daniels last year. It's not gonna look like CJ Stroud the year before. Heck, it's not even gonna look like Bo Nix last year. It's not even gonna look like that. This is a bad situation for Cam Ward, and I said it, bad situation for Cam Ward to go in. We all knew it. We all knew. Look, as much as even if you like Cam Ward, you know this was not the greatest situation. They didn't even have Calvin Ridley on Sunday. Tyler Lockett, veteran locker room piece, he's now gone. So Tennessee, it's bad right now. But I want to go back to the New England side of things before we move on, because New England, look, 31-13. New England's won 4 in a row. They can easily be a 6-1 football team. That game against the Steelers, you had all those fumbles. Just couldn't hold on to the football. New England's rolling, y'all. New England's rolling, and the way they're doing it because their quarterback is, the defense is playing at a high level as well, but the quarterback with it's Diggs and Booty's okay. We said this. It's not a high end offense, but he is making everybody better around him, and he's using his legs in crucial downs, and they are taking the deep shots, and he is connecting on them. Drake May's playing great right now, and that is why they're winning, and that's why, look, they have the easiest schedule going forward in a league that's wide open. Why can't they beat anybody? In a league that is wide open, why can they not beat anybody in the AFC at least? It's a great question, and it's a great conversation to have. And I'm sure when we get to mid-November, December, and that playoff picture starts to really get tightened up, not tightened up, tightened down. We'll see where New England falls in that. But right now, they're the number 2 seed, and they're playing well. All right. The Chiefs blanked the Raiders 31-0. This game, the Chiefs have more. The Chiefs have more first. The Chiefs had 30 first downs. Raiders had 30 plays. Honestly, I could just move on there, and I probably will. Look, Chiefs offense. I'll just get to this. I'm not gonna spend any times on the Raiders. They stink. Uh, Chiefs offense looked great. They buried the team when they were supposed to. That's different. Chiefs off 3 touchdowns. I know there was kind of the Mahomes got away with a couple throws. It was nice. Look, Rice is back. Huge. Got him back. Obviously, you're gonna have him, Worthy, Brown got a touchdown. Obviously, Kelsey. This offense, when the Chiefs get the ball, you just expect them to score. I think it's gonna look a lot like the 2022 offense where they won the Super Bowl. I really do. That receiving core, they have all that speed. If they can stay healthy, I don't know who's stopping them. In terms of defense, who's stopping that defense? Who's stopping that offense? Look, the defense obviously probably is the weak point this season. But look, it's played very well. It's played very, very well this season. So yeah, that's what it is for the Chiefs. That look, it didn't tell me a lot about the Chiefs. I don't know if it did. Look, the Chiefs were supposed to win. They were supposed to blow them out. If they didn't blow them out, even though I picked the game because I thought, look, Chiefs play a lot of close games. I thought the Raiders would come in and look prepared and compete. They didn't. Shout out to the Chiefs, though. They did their thing. They won the game they were supposed to win. Big time win. All right, now let's go to Philadelphia. Well, let's go. Well, the game was played in Minneapolis, the Twin City, where the storylines here were massive. Vikings, Eagles, Wentz, Hurts. Who gets the dub? It's Hurts. The Eagles are able to win this 28-22. This was a very interesting football game. I thought Jalen Hurts had his best game of the season. He was 19-23, 326, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I thought he was fantastic. What hurt the Vikings in this game, they made too many errors. They kicked too many field goals. That's the thing. Wentz had a pick. He had two picks. One was tipped, or one was dropped into a pick, and then he had one just inexplicable decision where I'm just looking at the TV like, what even was that? What even was that? So yeah, look, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown went crazy in this game. Smith 9 for 183 and a touchdown. Brown 121 and two touchdowns. When they needed a big play, they went to Smith or Brown offensively. Look, they still were not able to run the ball. Look, Saquon got 18 carries for 44 yards. They got to find a way to run the football more effectively. They got to find a way. They need to run more RPOs. Something. Look, right now they're just letting Jalen Hurts. Okay, we're not even gonna give the RPO. We're gonna just sit and drop back, and we're gonna throw the football around the lot. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I just don't think that's how good they can be. I think they're great when they're able to do a little bit of that, but I think they're great when they're under center, running the football, running boots, using Hurts' legs to their advantage in the read option and more RPOs. I think that's where Philly's at its best, not just this drop back game. We're just going to throw it around the lot because that's not how they won the Super Bowl last season. That's just not how it happened. So yeah, it's a great win for Philly. It's a fantastic win for Philly. They have the Giants next week. We'll get to them in a minute. For Minnesota, obviously a short week. They go to the Chargers. They play tomorrow. We'll get to the Chargers in a second as well. Look, Philadelphia, it's a great win. I thought defensively they played a fine game. I really did. And I thought from the offense, look, they were able to throw around the lot. It's a good win, but they still need to find a way how to run the ball more. Now, let's go. Let's go to actually no, let's go to Arizona first because I do have thoughts. Let's go to Arizona first. Green Bay beats Arizona in a very competitive football game, 27-23. Green Bay 4-1-1. Arizona just can't get a win. Jacoby Brissett, look, Arizona offensively, I thought played a very good game. Still, look, he was sacked 6 times. But I thought the Cardinals had a decent game plan. I thought to control the time of his possession, run the football, more 2 tight end sets. I thought they ran. Look, I thought in terms of running the football, obviously it wasn't as good as last week. again, or as effective as last week's, I should say, in terms of yardage against the Colts. I think they did an okay job there. They just five straight losses. They just have not been able to make the plays. That's kind of what it's come down to. They have not been able to make the plays late. Where there's been offense, defense, special teams. They just have not been able to get over that hump. Now, Jordan Love had an okay game. Uh, he against a very solid Arizona. Arizona's defense been solid. He had an okay game. He was 19 of 29, 179, a touchdown, no picks. He was clutch in the fourth when he needed it. That to me is the takeaway from this for the offense. The reason they won this game, Michael Parsons, three sacks, 4 TFLs, dominated, closer again. Michael Parsons. I don't know why he got so many one-on-ones. Petzing, you gotta go, bro. I don't know why. They kept putting their tackles one-on-one on an island against Michael Parsons. Look, if you're not like a Lane Johnson or a Panay Sewell or somebody of that caliber, a Trent Williams, if you are not somebody of like that caliber, stature, you should always receive help against Michael Parsons. Because Michael Parsons is that good. Again, Michael Parsons is a game wrecker. And what he did, not only did he close, he also wrecked the game and wrecked Arizona. He did it late as well. Him and Rashawn Gary have been big time in terms of getting to the quarterback. The Green Bay pass rush, they really got after the quarterback a lot. Look, I'm higher on Green Bay than most. Even before the Michael Parsons trade, I had them as the number one seed in the NFC. I thought they'd win the division before the year. I thought they'd be the one seed. That's what I thought already before the Michael Parsons deal. Michael Parsons being there just adds an element in terms of them being able to get after the passer and having a guy that can consistently close football games. Huge. Look, Packers are able to get a win against Arizona here to stay at 4-1-1. They play Pittsburgh. This Sunday night. Yes, they play Pittsburgh. Rodgers versus Love, Parsons and TJ Watt, DK Metcalf. Look, we'll be there. The storylines galore in that football game. Packers pick up a very nice win, gritty win at times. The offense did not look the greatest, but they're able to pull it out. Good win for Green Bay. Now, let's go to Dallas. The Cowboys win 44-22. That offense, my goodness. Part of it is the Commanders' defense is just bad, but my goodness. Look, Jaden Daniels went out with a hamstring injury, which again, not good. The Cowboys defense did okay. Again, there was no Debo, there was no McLaurin. I mean, the number one receiver was Luke McCaffrey, I guess. CeeDee Lamb got back for Dallas as well. With Dallas, they that offense passing the ball, Dak 21, 32, 64, 3 touchdowns. He's been in a zone. And in terms of running the football, they ran for 152 yards. Javonte Williams had 116 yards on the ground. Jaden Blue had 29 yards on the ground. Their ability now they obviously run a lot more motion and all that, but their ability now to get under center, hand it off, for them to be able to run the football along with the pass game, get Jake Ferguson as a tight end involved. They have a real number 2 in George Pickens. CeeDee Lamb being back. You already know what that means. He didn't miss a beat. 5 catches, 110, 1 touchdown. Dallas, if they make some noise at the deadline in terms of the defense, they can make some noise, I believe, in the NFC playoffs because I believe their offense is that good. They have the balance. Dak is playing the best he's ever played. They have a real number 2 in George Pickens. Again, the defense. Deron Bland had a pick 6. It looked like 2023 Deron Bland. Shades of the Thanksgiving game against Washington. Funny enough, Cowboys. This is a great win for them. I want to spend some time on the Commander side of it. That Washington loss was. That Chicago loss was bad. And now you get blown out. You don't look good. Now Daniels is injured. We'll see if he plays against Kansas City. May not. Doesn't look like it. It's not great. It's not good. It's not good at all. And then they've got a 3-game stretch of at Kansas City and Seattle and Detroit. That's just not. Well, if Marcus Mariota's your quarterback, I'm not liking you to win those games. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. Defensively, they just don't have it. The Cowboys did whatever they wanted. I mean, look, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna throw the ball deep a couple times. CeeDee Lamb had a big touchdown catch for like 70 plus yards. It's been 2 weeks in a row where the offense for the opposing team has really had their way with you on the ground. That's what it's been. So if you are Washington, you have to find a way to A, stop the run, and B, get after the passer. You just have to find a way to do that. You have to obviously be better in the back end, can't have breakdowns, but most importantly, offensively, you need to find a way to get healthy. But it's a great win for Dallas. They go to play Denver this upcoming week in the national doubleheader. So we will see. But before we get to that, let's get to this. The Colts dominate the Chargers 38-24. This Colts offense, man, the Colts are an absolute wagon, bro. That's what this game told me. And they get revenge in SoFi. Remember that they had that Rams game where they had the AD Mitchell has to fumble, then Taylor takes it to the house on the run, then they have to hold, and it just a lot of things went wrong in that football game. The Colts said, we're not even gonna make sure it's competitive. They whooped the Chargers, you know what. Their offense did whatever they wanted. If Jonathan Taylor was gonna run the ball, yeah, there was like on all 3 of his touchdowns, he was untouched. On all 3 of them. So we're gonna run the football on you. Obviously, we're gonna use Jonathan Taylor in the screen game as well. They said Daniel Jones. He made some very good throws. I mean, Jones, it just felt like at times Iron Eagle said it, the Colts could do no wrong. The way they used Tyler Warren and the way they lined him up almost everywhere. Warren, great. Pittman had a touchdown. They're using him more in the red zone. Alec Pierce as the deep play threat. By the way, they did this. No Ashton Doolin, no Josh Downs. They did not. They were hurt. Downs concussion protocol. Doolin I guess he has something with his chest, and that's why he got injured. And the Colts just dominated, start to finish. The defense in the second half, mainly secondary, wasn't good. They were able to get after Herbert a lot. A lot. And you kind of expected that with, look, no Joe Alt and just the Chargers just being banged up. So you kind of expected them to do that. For the Colts, if you are a Colts fan, you gotta be so happy because you did not see this season coming. The way they have played in this season, you did not see it coming from an offensive standpoint. So, look, in my notes, I put in this, let's see what I put here. I said the Colts offense, I said, one, the Colts are legit. And I said, two, Colts offense is a wagon. Just so tough to stop. Chargers had no answers, especially defensively. They had no efforts. Offensively, look, Herbert dropped back at bare minimum 60 times. He threw the ball 55 times. That's not when he threw two picks. It's not the one to Grover and the one to Nick Cross in the end zone. That's not a winning formula. You didn't run the ball. Again, I thought this game would be 34-31. Tough battle. If they tried to get into I said this, if they try to get into a shootout with the Colts, it won't win. They won't win. And it looked like they tried to get into a shootout and it was like a trap meet and the Colts were Usain Bolt and they just no shot. No shot. I said, look, the Chargers are going to have to try to run the football, control the time of possession. That's what they're going to have to try to do. Keep the Colts offense off the field, and that ain't happen. The Colts are now the number one seed. I think the Colts are the most balanced team. They've been the most consistent team this year. I'm just going to come out here and say I think Colts are the best team in the NFL. I think they are. I don't know how you can watch them and just not feel that way as of right now. So look, Colts win 38-24 in a real just real dominant win. Now, let's get to whatever this was. Denver beats the Giants 33-32. We gonna what? How did timeout. How you're gonna ask me how did Denver win this game? And oh boy, Denver won this game by scoring 33 points in a quarter. Now you would think okay, 33 second or third, what happened? No, they scored 33 in the fourth quarter. They scored all of their points in the fourth quarter. What did Shane Bowen for the Giants needs to go? That's one. There are so many plays in this game that just epitomized it. Let's start here. The Broncos' offense through three quarters was atrocious. I don't know what it is with Bo Nix in the first three quarters or Sean Payton in the first three quarters. They just offensively, it happened in the Eagles game, it happened through the Jets game, and now it's happened here where they just don't play well. But then in the fourth quarter, they find something. Okay, there's that. Giants, this game, you were kicking their butts. With 5 minutes left to go in the game, you were up 26-8. That means this game didn't go to overtime, by the way. That means to lose that game, you gave up 25 points in 5 minutes. It's indefensible. It's inexplicable. Look, I know a lot of Giants fans have been blaming the kicker. Look, I'm not here to totally defend the kicker because you got to make extra points. Everybody has to do their job. But he doesn't play DB. He does not play DB. They were atrocious in the fourth quarter. Those defensive backs, Deontay, they just could. Did they even break up a ball at all in the fourth quarter? I'd have to go back and watch and remember. I don't remember. Genuinely. there was a sequence where okay, it's 19-8. The Broncos had kind of had a lucky touchdown. Then the Giants get a lucky touchdown, make it 26-8. I'm like, oh well, it's in the cards. How legit are the Giants, man? Like, are they gonna go to Philly and win again? Like, what is happening? And then the collapse happened. Denver goes down, makes it 26-16. That next possession, the fact that Dable on third down threw the ball and Dart threw an interception, bad. Sean Payton was wasting all his timeouts. He should have went run. I'm talking about Giants. Dable should have went run, run, run. Instead, he throws it, it gets picked, you give Denver life. That's the only thing outside of a special teams blunder that could have hurt you right there. That's the only thing. A pick, a fumble, or special teams ball. That's it. And look, 3rd and 4, run with Scatterboo. Make the Broncos drive the length of the field. Instead, you give them a short field. They get a touchdown with like 3 hours. It was like 3:25, 3:15, somewhere around there. So now Denver's back in the game. It's 26-23. They then go run, pass. And they don't, and it's 26-23. They don't, obviously, they have to punt it back. Just play calling on those 2 drives, bad. And then Denver goes down. They get a touchdown. Bo Nix runs a QB power. He's untouched. He's untouched. He goes in untouched. All right, we got that. Then, okay, the Giants go, they drive down. And they actually get a touchdown to retake the lead. Now, granted, it was aided by a pass interference. That was not pass interference. I'm sorry. I don't know what the rest were looking at. That was not pass interference. Dart had completed a 4th and 19. Thought was big time to Wan'Dale Robinson, but look, that was not pass interference. So Dart scores. On the final possession. Why in the world are we rushing 3? Why is Dexter Lawrence, and I want to say it was Kayvon Thibodeau who was on the bench, but basically the point is, why are we rushing 3 and dropping 8? It's how you lost at Dallas. So what happens? Nick gets a big throw. Then they're trying to get back. Nick sees that Brian Burns is hobbled and he's not going to make it back in time. So instead of Dable using his time out there to try to save him 5 yards, nope. Nick clocks it. Burns wasn't back in time. Offsides, 5 yards. That was after the big pass to Mims on the sideline. Then they get a big pass to Sutton on the sideline. And then obviously they spike it, and Will Ludd's in position for the win. Kicks it down. Giants coaching staff lost them that game. You can't sugarcoat it any other way. Don't try to be like, oh well, no. The Giants coaching staff lost them that football game because they did not make the necessary moves and call the necessary plays, mainly late in the game, to put them in a better. They did a great job through 3 quarters. In the 4th, it was a complete meltdown. That is an impossible game to lose. That's impossible. I don't know how you lose that game. That's an impossible game to lose. Yet the Giants did it. I don't know. Broncos, that is a fantastic big time win to show the grit and the resolve to be able to come back and win that football game. Incredible. Now, these last 3 games I'll go through quickly. San Francisco beats Atlanta 20-10. Here's what I'll say. Atlanta, they're just inconsistent. They are very inconsistent. That's what it is with them. You beat the Bills, but then you have a performance like you did where you get 30-0 by the Panthers, and then you have a great win, obviously, on Monday night. Then you come back and you lose this game to a battered San Francisco. Atlanta's just too inconsistent. San Francisco, Shanahan and Salah are wizards. They're wizards. It's a great win for them, and right now they're sitting atop the NFC West because they're 3-0 in the division at 5-2. Not man, just a winning culture. Um, to the two Monday night games, Seattle beats Houston 27-19. The Seattle offense, it did not look great. They had some mistakes. It was kind of a rough night. But the Seattle defense, man, they really stepped it up. Again, 4-1 turnover ratio, and was still able to win the game pretty comfortably. You never felt like that game was in trouble. So hats off to Seattle. And the final one, Detroit beats Tampa Bay to go to 5-2. Both teams are now 5-2. Detroit defensively, Calvin Shepard's got to get a game ball, because Calvin Shepard, that defensive game plan. I mean, they're playing with D2 corners. Their whole secondary was out. No Terrion Arnold, no DJ Reed, no Brian Branch, no Kirby Joseph. And the way, and you hold the Bucks to 9 points. Wow, man. That what, and you hold them to 9 only? That was an incredible performance there. All right, everybody. This has been my NFL Week 7 reactions. Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.